A very good morning, students. Today we will be discussing chapter Reproductive System. The objectives of this chapter are: what is reproduction, types of reproduction, modes of asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction, difference between asexual and sexual reproduction, and some important terms. First of all, what is reproduction? Reproduction is defined as the process by which living organisms perpetuate in order to continue their race. All the body organs that help an animal to bring about reproduction collectively constitutes its reproductive system. There are two types of reproduction, or two modes of reproduction. One is sexual reproduction and another is asexual reproduction. One by one, we will be discussing these two modes of reproduction. First mode of reproduction is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a mode of reproduction in which the new offspring arise from a single parent. The offsprings are identical to each other, both physically as well as genetically. They are the exact copies of their parent cells. Hence, they are called clones. We observe asexual reproduction in both unicellular and multicellular organisms. Features of asexual reproduction. It involves a single parent, that is, it is uniparental. There is no gamete formation, so there is no process of fertilization. The whole process takes place in a small period of time. Rapid multiplication and growth happens. There is limited variation. Genetically similar offsprings are produced. Now, we will be discussing some common modes of asexual reproduction. We have binary fission, multiple fission, fragmentation, budding. First mode of asexual reproduction is fission. Asexual reproduction in which a parent separates into two or more individuals of about equal size. This type of reproduction is common among single-celled organisms, including bacteria, and unicellular eukaryotes and some fungi. The single cell divides into two daughter cells. Fission can be of two types, namely binary fission and multiple fission. In binary fission, parent cells divide into two equal halves called the daughter cells. Daughter cells are identical to each other and to their parent cell. Organisms like amoeba, bacteria, euglena, etc. exhibit binary fission. Here we can see binary fission in amoeba, which results in the formation of two daughter cells which are genetically similar to their parent cell and to each other also. Now, the next mode of asexual reproduction is multiple fission. Organisms divides itself into numerous daughter cells. Examples of multiple fissions are sporozoans and algae. Here, we can see multiple fission in Plasmodium. During unfavorable conditions, there is a protective wall formation around the cell. That is known as cyst. Inside the cyst, the nucleus of the cell is most active, which undergoes mitosis, resulting in the formation of numerous daughter nuclei. When the conditions are favorable, then the cyst absorbs moisture or water and swells up and ruptured. When the cyst is ruptured, the daughter cells that are formed, they are released. Now, next mode of reproduction is fragmentation. Fragmentation is another mode of asexual reproduction. Multicellular organisms like planaria, spirogyra, etc. reproduce by fragmentation. The parent body divides into two or more fragments. Later, each fragment develops into a new individual. Here we can see spirogyra divides into three fragments 1, 2, and 3, and each fragment developed into a new individual. Next mode of reproduction is regeneration. When a lizard loses its tail, it grows a new one. This is known as regeneration. In many organisms, there are specialized cells which can differentiate and grow into a new organism. Organisms like Hydra and Planaria also show regeneration. In these organisms, when the cell divides into numerous pieces, each piece proliferates and differentiates to regenerate new organisms. Next mode of asexual reproduction is budding. Some organisms develop buds on their body. These buds develop into a new individual. This is known as budding. An example is a hydra. From the parent hydra, a bird arises which eventually matures into a new hydra, and once it gets matured, it detaches from the parent body and behave as a new individual and grow as a new parent body. Now, moving on to the next topic, that is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is the mode of reproduction in which two parents give rise to new individuals. That is, it is biparental. The genetic information is carried on chromosomes within the nucleus of specialized sex cells called gametes. Sexually reproducing animals have special organs called gonads for the formation of sex cells called gametes. In males, these gametes are called sperm, and in females, the gametes are called eggs. During sexual reproduction, the two gametes join together in a fusion process known as fertilization to create a zygote, which is the precursor to an embryo offspring, taking half of its DNA from each of its parents. 23 chromosomes are shared by female parent and other 23 chromosomes are shared by male parents. Now we will be discussing difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is always uniparental. On the other hand, sexual reproduction is usually biparental. Asexual reproduction does not involve the formation and fusion of gametes. Sexual reproduction involves the formation and fusion of two types of gametes. No sex organs are formed in case of asexual reproduction, and sex organs are always formed in sexual reproduction. All the divisions are mitotic. It never involves meiosis. And in sexual reproduction, it involves mitosis as well as meiosis. New individual develops from a cell or a part of one parent. New individual develops from a zygote or the fusion product of two gametes. The offsprings of the new individuals are genetically similar to the parent in case of asexual reproduction, and in sexual reproduction, offsprings are genetically different from either of the two parents and from each other also. Asexual reproduction does not introduce any variation in the population and is thus of no evolutionary importance. On the other hand, sexual reproduction introduces variation in the population and is hence of evolutionary importance. Now moving on to some important terms related to this chapter are: first one is hermaphrodite or bisexual. Organisms which have both the sexes, example earthworm are called bisexual or hermaphrodite. Unisexual, the organisms in which either male or female reproductive organs are present. Example, human beings. Gametes, sex cells are called gametes. Example, sperm in case of male, ova or eggs in case of females. Gonads or sex organs, the organs which produce gametes, example, in male, testes and in female, ovaries. Sexual dimorphism, the phenomena by which male can be distinguished from females externally on the basis of secondary sexual characters. Now, what are the secondary sexual characters? Characters on the basis of which male can be distinguished from female externally. Now, here are some important or common secondary sexual characters to distinguish between male and female. First one is beard and moustache, present in male but absent in female. Mammary glands, non-functional in male and functional in female, that produce milk. Hip region, male, that is narrow, and in female the hip region is broad. Shoulder region, in males they have a broader shoulder region, and in female the shoulder region is narrow. Voice, males have hoarse voice and females have shrilled voice. So these are the common secondary sexual characters to distinguish between male and female. Thank you so much.